At 20, I dove into a passionate relationship with an enigmatic young woman. After 2 intense years of dating, our life seemed like a fairy tale. We got married and received the greatest gift of all, a beautiful daughter. However, what appeared to be perfect happiness unraveled in a whirlwind of mysteries and betrayals. After a period of working away from home, something sinister revealed itself upon my return. The inexplicable changes in my wife's and daughter's behavior were nothing compared to the shock of finding a disturbing message on my daughter's phone. What I discovered was a web of betrayal that left me stunned. My wife was involved with a mysterious man, and to my surprise, my daughter, sister-in-law, and mother-in-law were all part of the conspiracy. The betrayal was not just about infidelity, but a complex network of deceit that spanned my entire family. My desire for justice and retribution became an overwhelming force, and in the pursuit of inner peace, the answer was an act of relentless revenge.
Hey guys, welcome to our channel.
Almost 7 years ago, my own family cut me out of their lives as if I were an unwanted stranger. I was only 22 at the time, without the financial stability to afford an apartment on my own, and I was kicked out of the house without any warning. It happened so abruptly that I barely had time to process the emotional or financial blow of that devastating turn of events. But the reason behind this brutal family split was even more shocking. It all started with my sister, Lucia, a 37-year-old woman with whom I never had a close relationship, mainly due to the significant age difference between us. When she was 27, she married Peter, a 39-year-old man. It seemed like a fairy tale until, 3 years into the marriage, everything fell apart. Lucia accused Peter of cheating, claiming he was having an affair with one of my friends. At the time, I was living with my parents after college, just starting to work and saving money for my future. My parents were fine with the arrangement, until the bombshell of Lucia's divorce exploded within our family circle. Suddenly, everything changed. My own sister cast a dark shadow over my life, and my family, without hesitation, kicked me out of the house, as if I were responsible for the collapse of Lucia's marriage. Lucia stormed back into the house that day, her sobs echoing off the walls of the family home. The once peaceful atmosphere was instantly enveloped in a cloud of tension. Through desperate tears, she announced that she had filed for divorce, revealing a betrayal that had been eroding her trust for months. Suddenly, I found myself in the middle of an emotional hurricane, unfairly accused and pushed to the brink by the one person who should have supported me. My own sister, Lucia. The reason for the accusation? I had introduced Emily, a distant friend, to Lucia's husband, Peter. An innocent connection, a simple attempt to help each other, had turned into a ticking time bomb that blew my life to pieces. Lucia even accused me of supporting Peter's affair with Emily. The truth is, Emily, 28 at the time, was on a journey to gain weight, and Peter, a certified nutritionist, had kindly offered to help her with the process. Ironically, I was the one who introduced them. But now, my sister had made a devastating accusation. She was falsely claiming that Emily was Peter's lover. I was stunned. How could something so trivial lead to such chaos? I knew Emily well enough to be sure that she was never capable of cheating, and Peter, well, Peter had always shown genuine love for Lucia. It was unfathomable to me how he could be accused of such betrayal. But the most painful blow came from my own parents. Despite having no solid evidence of the affair, they kicked me out simply because Lucia said so. She convinced my parents to throw me out just because I had introduced Emily to Peter. She accused me of ruining her marriage, and for reasons that still escape me, our parents took her side in the story. Without questioning, without hesitation, they accepted Lucia's version as the absolute truth, relegating me to the role of the villain in her distorted narrative. I tried to reason with them, pleaded for justice, but my words fell on deaf ears. In the blink of an eye, I was thrown out of the house, stripped of family, home, and everything I knew. In that dark moment, I lost not only my physical home but also the trust in what I believed was my family. Alone, lost, and directionless, I was cast into a world I didn't know, with no idea where to turn. I found myself there, on the unforgiving sidewalk, sobbing in despair as the world spun in a cruel dance around me. My life had been ripped away, leaving me with nothing but the burden of unjust accusations and a handful of belongings. 4 hours, or maybe an eternity, I remained there as cars passed indifferently and the stars above witnessed my helplessness. Only when my tears dried and the night began to give way to dawn did I find the strength to rise from the cold ground and seek temporary shelter at a generous friend's house. In the days that followed, I desperately tried to reconnect with my family, but every attempt was blocked by the wall of silence they had erected. My parents were fully convinced by my sister's distorted narrative. They blindly believed Lucia's version, as if I were the one responsible for all the pain that had plagued our family. I was banished not only from my home but also from the comfort of understanding and familial support. My own mother, who should have been my safe haven, threatened to call the authorities if I dared to come near. The open wound of Peter's betrayal had been turned into my twisted scar. I had become the scapegoat for a tragedy I never chose to be part of. I realized then that I was alone, abandoned by those who had sworn to love me unconditionally. While my sister had always been the family favorite, I was relegated to the role of a solitary spectator, forever on the fringes of parental affection. And so, as my soul writhed in agony, I understood that I was destined to walk my own path, without the comfort of those I once called family. But even in the shadows of adversity, a flame of determination burned within me, fueling the hope of a new tomorrow where I could finally find my place in the world. Life, at times, throws us into a whirlwind of unexpected events, and that's exactly what happened to me. When I look back, It's as if I can glimpse the signs, the clues that should have warned me about the approaching storm. But back then, it was as if I were blind to what was coming. In the days that followed my expulsion, I drifted in a sea of uncertainty, desperately trying to find a thread of meaning amidst the chaos. My parents and my sister had cut me out of their lives as if I were an unwanted page ripped from an old book. With no way to contact them, without even a glimmer of hope, I plunged into an abyss of loneliness and confusion. That's when I decided I needed to find answers, even if it meant diving into the unknown. Emily became my last hope for clarification. With a heavy heart and a clouded mind, I sought her out, begging for her truth amid the storm of lies that surrounded me. When we finally met, the weight of the world seemed to rest on my shoulders as I poured out my anguish to her. And then, like a bright light in the darkness, Emily vehemently denied my sister's accusations. Her sincere eyes and her words full of conviction were like a balm to my wounded soul. I sincerely believed she was honest. Emily assured me that she had only met Peter a few times, and always in a professional context, ensuring that there was absolutely nothing beyond that between them. She was baffled by Lucia's accusations. Emily revealed that her heart belonged to an old love, and that new horizons awaited her soon. The photos and stories she shared were far more convincing than anything Lucia had said. Yet, even with this revelation, I still found myself trapped in a maze with no way out. Without tangible proof to show the truth, I was condemned to wander the dark corridors of injustice, unable to return to the home I so longed for. The pain of rejection, mingled with the longing for broken bonds, haunted me day and night. Through ups and downs, life tests us in unimaginable ways. If someone had told me years ago that I would be where I am today, I probably wouldn't have believed them. My journey began with the unbearable pain of loss. I vividly remember those dark days when every breath felt like a challenge and the future seemed as distant as a star in the sky. But time, that relentless force that drags us forward, brought with it small sparks of hope. With effort and determination, I managed to rise from the ashes of my own desolation. It wasn't easy, far from it. Every step was a battle against the apathy that threatened to consume me. I found refuge in work, turning it into the guiding star of my existence. Not just to keep the bills paid, but as an anchor that prevented me from being swept away by the turbulent currents of my mind. Days turned into months, and months into years, until I finally realized that I had found a new place to call home. Now, here I stand, rising from the pedestal of my own overcoming. From a modest apartment, I've risen to a bigger home. And as if the stars were conspiring in my favor, I've also found love and am engaged to my girlfriend of 2 years. Yes, life can be cruel and relentless, but it's also full of surprises and twists that remind us of our own capacity to flourish even in the most barren soils. So here I stand, looking to the future with eyes full of hope, ready to embrace every new challenge life throws my way. About a week ago, something happened that turned my world upside down. It was like an earthquake shaking all the certainties I had about life. It all started with a simple post on social media, something my fiancée Liza, 30F, decided to share. What neither of us expected was that this post would become a real turning point. Have you ever had those moments when something happens and it feels like the universe is conspiring to change everything? Well, that's how I felt. Imagine receiving an email out of nowhere, from a source you never would have imagined. That's what happened to me. That email not only explained the whole story behind Lucia's divorce, but also contained evidence I never thought existed. And the most surprising part? My fiancée, Liza, was dragged into this whole mess in a way I never could have anticipated. As it turns out, all of Peter's business dealings, as well as his secretive financial arrangements, came to light thanks to Liza's relentless curiosity and research skills. With her help, I finally found the long-awaited justice. I finally proved to my family that my sister's accusations were nothing but a web of lies. But that's a story for another time. My parents were perplexed, confused by what was happening. Lucia, on the other hand, looked like she was about to vomit, apologizing as she ran off to her room. I realized she was trying to escape. Peter was still holding the divorce papers, showing screenshots of the incriminating emails between Lucia and Frank, while I revealed the truth. I detailed how Lucia had sacrificed our family's inheritance, the precious diamond ring from our grandmother, in the divorce settlement because she couldn't afford the compensation for Peter. She, a simple high school teacher, had to sell it to cover the expenses. My parents were already horrified by what they were hearing, but this was just the beginning. The drama reached its peak when my father demanded that Lucia explain everything that had happened. Even in the face of all the evidence against her, she tried to lie and cover up the truth. That's when my father unceremoniously threw her out, packing her things and handing her bags, ordering all of us to leave his house immediately. I didn't need a second warning. Peter and I left, while Lucia begged our parents to let her stay, just like she had years ago with me. It was karma in its purest form, and I felt an indescribable satisfaction. Days passed since then, until Lucia unexpectedly showed up at my house a few hours ago. I have no idea how she managed to find my phone number and address, but that's the least of my concerns right now. She demanded that I fix things with our parents immediately. I didn't even know how she found me, but I refused. After everything she did to ruin my life, I returned the favor. I no longer recognized her as my sister. When confronted, she began to sob, accusing me of being a monster. But I no longer cared about her tears. I slammed the door shut, but that didn't stop her from relentlessly insisting. I simply put on my headphones, sinking into music, while Liza, my fiancée, worked in her studio. It was our way of avoiding more chaos that night. After a while, Lucia finally left us alone, but not without leaving a bitter note taped to my door. She called me a vengeful monster. I didn't see anything wrong with what I did. In fact, I didn't feel any pity. But Lucia was convinced I was the villain in this story. The irony is that all I did was give back to her what she had done to me repeatedly over the years, except I told the truth, while she continued to lie. So, what's expected 7 years after I was kicked out?
There are
Compassion for the
invisible scars that shape lives. Abuse steals your peace, but not your strength. Breaking the Cycle of Abuse is an interactive guide where you'll find powerful tools to identify the signs of abuse, understand the dynamics of violence, find shelter and legal and psychological support, plan a safe exit from a harmful environment, overcome trauma and rebuild your self-esteem. Start your journey of healing and transformation now for just $9.60.
I was kicked out. Compassion for the sister who ruined my life? She still finds a way to blame me for the divorce she's currently going through. It's ridiculous. Even a week after her expulsion, Lucia kept harassing me. I had to threaten her with the police to finally make her stop. Lately, it's been a challenge. Lucia keeps trying to make me feel guilty, as if I'm the only one who doesn't understand her struggles. She's a teacher, and yes, I know it's not easy living on the salary she gets. She's been trying to manipulate me, pressuring me to help her pay rent and bills since our parents kicked her out. Speaking of our parents, they've now decided to resurface out of nowhere, as if Facebook is a direct path to forgiveness. I find it amusing how they expect me to take them back into my life, as if nothing had happened. They haven't even bothered to apologize, yet they're already planning how to attend my wedding. Ridiculous, right? I don't know where they get the nerve to suggest something like that, as if I could just forget everything they did. So, maybe impulsively, I admit, I've blocked Lucia's number a few times. It seems she's using her friends to try to convince me to talk to her, which only irritates me more. My fiancée, Liza, even had a bit of fun reading the texts that Lucia and our parents post. Sometimes, it's the only way to deal with so much confusion. What saddens me is seeing how all of this has affected our family. This isn't how I imagined our lives, with so much conflict and hurt. But we're trying to move forward, Liza and I, staying strong as we navigate through the sea of problems that seems endless. Life with Lucia has always been a whirlwind, but what happened yesterday was the height of madness. Imagine this. I'm ready to leave for work, and she just throws herself in front of my car. I was in shock. There was no other option. I had to call the police. She kicked and screamed, trying to make everyone think I was the villain. But this time, no one bought her act. They finally took her away. I had to push for the charges to move forward, but I succeeded. I went to work, determined not to let it ruin my day. I knew my parents would come to rescue her. They've always favored her. And they did, just as I expected. But the surprise came afterward. I received a long text from them, complaining about how I had been too harsh, that it was time to forgive and forget an honest mistake they made nearly a decade ago. Honestly, I found it hilarious. Nothing they did was honest or just a mistake. They knew exactly what they were doing, how cruel they were being. There's no forgetting that. I decided to put an end to it. I responded bluntly, telling them they lost the right to tell me what to do years ago. I haven't blocked them yet, but it won't be long. I don't have time for this toxicity in my life. It's time to move forward, without this family that only brought pain and confusion. Now, as I think about how to deal with all of this, one thing is certain. I won't allow them to manipulate me anymore. I'm ready to leave this baggage behind and forge my own path. I got home after a long day of work, ready to relax. I opened my social media, and as usual, there they were. My parents, with yet another long message full of unrealistic expectations. Liza was by my side, and we decided to read it together, more for amusement than anything else. I admit, it was the funniest thing I'd read in a while. They still seem to live in a world where they think we can be a family again, as if I hadn't been hurt enough by everything they did. They firmly believe we'll resolve our differences like civilized adults, as if I could just forget everything and invite them to my wedding. Bizarre, right? After having a good laugh at their pathetic message, I decided to respond clearly and directly. I made it very clear that I have no interest in reconciliation. I'm perfectly fine without them. Thank you very much. These past 7 years have shown me that my life is much better without their manipulation and drama. I blocked them once and for all. I no longer have the energy for these empty attempts at forgiveness. If they try to contact me again, they'll have to deal with my lawyer. I'm not kidding. Liza is my family now. She's the one I want to build my future with, far away from these people who never manage to see beyond themselves. Unfortunately, it seems like it will always be that way with them. I know they might try to find me through other means, but as far as they're concerned, I'm not available.
Want more mysteries, twists, and exciting moments? So you can't miss this video. Click now and continue this journey of fascinating stories. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any news. Leave your comments and see you next time.